Hi, Stinker. You gonna go get your ball? Go get it. What do you see? Go get your ball. Hey, hey, hey. We're gonna do the Q&A first this time, because this one needed outdoor attention. Plus I need to end right at 6:30. So it kind of worked out. So I tend to do too much Q&A when I'm done. So we'll do a strict 30 minutes of Q&A. Which might not be as effective at the start, because we never get... Most of the Q&As I know come from when I've started painting. But yeah, we'll be back to painting Sis's baby. Sorry, I thought someone in the Holland Basil. Holland, come. Holland. Oh, is that Miss Debbie? That's her favorite person. It's one of her favorite people. Sorry, let me turn so I can watch her. Thanks, Debbie. You're so sweet with her. You missed the start where I was going to start painting again. So I'll start painting again at 5. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on my dog. She's hanging out with the neighbor. Hello. Give me a sec. I feel rude. Thank you. You got your treat. You saw your Auntie Debbie. Sorry, I've been live streaming. Bye, Eddie. All right. Okay. Yeah, you can re-ask questions now. Sorry, I just felt weird just letting, even though they're friends, just letting them feed my dog without me even going over and acknowledging. That's her neighbor friend who's got her own dog. Always gives Holland a treat. Alright, so what do I use to paint with? I use Genesis heat set paints and BC heat set paints. You missed the part where I started painting again. That's okay. We're going to be painting until December, so you'll have plenty to catch up on. I got June. She's the Jupiter kit by Melody Hess. And I got her from McPherson Arts and Crafts. I started painting dolls 11 years ago. I had an Ashton Drake that I wanted to reborn, and I reborned it, and I was kind of naive at that point. I was like, okay, I'm open for custom orders. And I kind of haven't stopped since. Well, no, I have stopped, but I haven't, I've never really veered away from doing custom orders. I really love doing custom orders. It's my full-time job right now. I'm going to reevaluate after I have a knee surgery. Could you stop being a stink? Holland. It's gonna make me use the mom voice. Quiet. Don't make me make you sit. She's like a gym bro who needs to go with the weights. She needs to yell at her tetherball to survive. Thanks for liking the live, guys. But yeah, I'm a life touch photographer, and that's what I did before this. But for the past 2 years, I've been having issues with my ankles, and then around January of this year, I started having issues with my knee, which is about the time that I started painting again, because I thought that maybe, if I do need to take some time off work to let that heal, or if I need a surgery or whatever the fuck, painting will be good. But I was also really missing making dolls. Sorry, I'm just cringing at my hair. Don't y'all... I love having dark hair, but my fellow straight-haired, dark-haired girlies, don't you just hate how quickly it looks greasy? Like I showered last night. We're already looking greasy because my hair is straight and dark. But yeah, so it's a full-time job right now. Hey, Megan. So we'll go up painting again as soon as she's done, but I can take any questions. Thanks for the hearts. We need to check out that TikTok Reloaded thing to get more coins. Because I'm like looking at the gift gallery and how much it would cost to buy most of that stuff. I'm curious what the TikTok Reloaded thing does. Could you not bark? She'll literally do this till her mouth bleeds. That's okay. Like I keep telling everybody's like, oh my God, I missed it. Girl, everybody will have time from now until December to see some of these layers painted. We did 3 layers. We're probably going to do 40. And some of them I think I'll do on video, so that if people did miss it, like maybe like, I don't know, like 10-15% of those layers, we'll do it on video. If I ever don't feel like doing live, I'll do a speed run of the video. Holland, come here. You know you don't need to yell at your tetherball to be superior. You are superior by being sentient. Ish. Well, I'm glad you're going to be tagging along for this one. Like I said, we haven't gotten very far. I can't decide whether I'm going to do... Oh, do I have acne? Of course I do. Can't decide whether I'm going to do... I might do another flush layer. Maybe just one more. I don't know. I'll look at it again under the lights. It's a good dog. Are you feeling better now? She needed to get some energy out. We've been really busy today. Hello, Heidi. We got to figure out what to do with our subscribers. That is Holland Basil Grace with a diamond on her face. She's currently played so much tetherball that she's got this one spot in her mouth that'll start to bleed just a little bit when she plays too much tetherball. But she needed it. She loves that tetherball. Ha, stinker. Thanks for the gifts, Amy. Thanks for the ice cream. Oh, now I want ice cream. You a good dog? See, you wonder why your cooch is itchy when you're laying like that. She's a nut. Alright, I might go in while she's chill, and then we can... The kit's gonna be hot, but we can bring it upstairs. We had a mishap with the legs, but it's under control. So I was showing the others when I was working this morning. I noticed on the heel of the kit, on both heels, little less on one than the other, there was like a stain already, and I was like, what the hell? This wasn't here last night. And she was laying on my white sheet, but I was looking at my white sheet, and it's kind of old and it's slightly discolored. But it's like the kind of discolored where you don't realize it's discolored until you see it next to something that's actually white. So I think that's what stained it. Who'd have thunk a white sheet? But anyway, one heel has already got all the color off. I'm just leaving it out for good measure. The other heel is almost there. The stuff comes off really easily when it's not painted yet and doesn't have like textures or varnishes, so it's coming off super easily. But it's embarrassing when that shit happens on a live, but it's real, you know. I've been doing this for 11 years and sometimes shit happens. I had one time somebody sent me a kit, but they packed the COA with the kit, and the COA, it was like the edition was it was like something out of 500, but the out of 500 right before it was written in permanent marker, and that was touching the baby's leg, and it had like a backwards 4 by the way it reflected, I think, or something like that. That was years and years ago. But you just got to know how to handle it and not freak out. Huh, Holly dog. You're a stinker. I love you. She's such a good dog. Thanks for the follow, Priscilla. We're going to get back up to working on Sis's baby pretty soon. I'm just going to make sure that my dog is good. How do you prevent staining? Don't let your sheets get stained like I did. It's so... I'll show it to you guys when I go upstairs. It's so... like, it looks white until you put something white next to it, and then you realize that it's a little old and it's gotten a little gray. Her name's Holland. Holland like the road. We call her Holly Dog. But yeah, you can prevent staining by keeping your dolls in light clothing. The The kits are really more susceptible to staining when they're still blank, and some kits are more susceptible to staining than others. The finish and the texture, no kit is immune to staining, but the finish and the texture does prevent it a little bit. Yeah, they're most susceptible when they're blank kits. My knee and hip are actually pretty good the past couple days, knock on wood. Now it's mostly just the ankle, but the ankle's really doable. It's when it moves up that it's really annoying. You ready to go back inside, or you gonna do one more tether? You wanna play? You wanna get your ball, or you wanna go get some water? It's almost your dinner time. I'll probably give her dinner before we go upstairs. That's a good yawn. The mosquitoes are going around you. You're very short-haired. You're probably gonna get bitesies. I love you. All right, do one more stint. Go get it. Tether ball. I think it's like 72-ish. I'm living in denial. Like, I wanted it to be 60 today, which is why I wore my Good Witch sweater. I'm in Virginia Beach. I'm a little warm in this sweater. Just a little bit. But I'm fine when I'm inside because we keep the house cold. It's 64 there. I'm jealous. It's like my ideal temperature. I would keep the house at 64 if I could. You're so pretty. Yeah, I think it's like 70. It was like 75 earlier. It's probably like 72 now. '90 in Central Florida. She does. My little Energizer bunny. If you're as in love with her as I am, she does. I made a playlist for her above my videos. Like, if you scroll, there's actually a Holland playlist, and you'll see some of the videos of her just being an absolute nut. How do you have nighttime sounds right now? I don't know. Does it sound like nighttime? It's 4:45 here. The sun's about there. It's getting less sunny for sure at this area. I live in condos, so like once the sun starts moving down just a little bit, it gets a lot more shady out here. You done, Stink? Ready to go inside? So we can paint the baby? Hi. You ready? You want to go get some water? I might need to wipe your butt. You got a stinky butt. I love you. See, she's in denial right now. You're in denial. All right, let's go inside. Let's just go. Come on, hot dog. Come on, Stinky. Come. You want dinner? Oh, there she goes. All right, just gonna get her some dinner, and then we'll head on up. And the cuties coming all the way. Okay. Oh, I hate when the mosquitoes get you through the leggings. You're in the South Wales, so cold. Jealous. I want cold right now. But the grass is always greener on the other side. Alright, so we have Pascal's head with with some of his hair mapping. And June's arms. But the fact that I'm actually like not limping up the stairs means today's a good knee day. Pascal's close. He's gonna get his hair rooted. I'm just doing some mapping here and there. And he's still got his final skin texture to go. And I'm glad I'm observant. Why does this kit hate me? Maybe because it's bigger? I washed off my oven too. It keeps getting wiped up something. I'm clean! Where are my water wipes? There was just like a little spot that wiped right off. But there was a spot! Heating's in. And blanket. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it was right here. It came right off. I wiped down my oven. I'm just glad I'm seeing everything. I feel like this is such a high pressure baby, and it's just like everything that... My painting is phenomenal. The painting looks good. Everything looks great, but as far... It's like challenging me. Every layer there's something where it's like, how'd you get on there? And then it comes right off and it's fine. But still. Any more temperatures? That on my face. This is the part where we stare at it and try to decide if we want to go straight to mottling or not. Does he have a price yet? No, Pascal's not going to have a price till I'm done rooting him. But we're thinking in 1800 to 2000. More base layering, maybe. I might need to stare at it for another 30 seconds before I decide on that. Holland, why don't you go lay on my grandpa's bed? I got all my tools in here. I love you. Hey, Aaron. Now, I was debating on doing sort of a creamy lavender, which I would not mind doing. So basically I'm going to do a light version of this to just make sure that we don't have any green tones out of the yellow. Wash. I always wanted them as a child, so pay for my daughter and live my childhood dream through her. You wanted reborns as a kid? I didn't even know reborns were a thing until I was 19 or so. In 2012. No, I'm not going to go live with Amanda while working on, or maybe with Amanda if she has the time, but definitely not with Amanda and Sis, because Sis doesn't really understand. Like, she understands that her dolls are dolls, but she wouldn't really understand the painting process, and it might upset her, so. We'll have Sis pick a freckle towards the end. Pick where she wants to put a freckle, find one on her own arm, and put it on the baby, but we're going to make the baby look assembled for that. It takes me like a month for just the painting, and then another month for the hair if it's rooted. Holland, if you keep licking your paws, they're gonna fall off. I post everywhere. How many hours a day is that? However many I can. It's not really that, it can't really be late, put down to how many hours a day. It's more just like a goal I set for myself. It's hard to tell how many hours an actual doll takes, but I'd imagine a rooted doll would probably be around 80 or 90 hours. But it's hard to say because I tend to work on multiple at a time. No, I don't have any kids. I want some one day, though. But I don't make dolls because I want kids. I make dolls because I like dolls. Always have. Oh, is this live? Yeah. Working on Sis's baby. Should probably write down some of these just because I have to go back and do the legs. So we did... do another flesh after this. I should remember, but just in case. What are you mixing? I'm mixing some Genesis Magenta 08 with Titanium White. It's also going to get neutralized a little bit once I put this in there. Basically almost a very light purplish pinky tone, which will tone down... It'll tone down my yellows and avoid any sort of green tones. because I do blue undertones after this. Sometimes I save them for a little later, but it basically, you know, yellow on top of blue makes green, so if you almost pre-neutralize any greens from the yellow undertone, it essentially just changes the yellow from the yellow that can turn green easily into a better color. Just neutralizing color theory stuff. Does all the thinner do anything to the doll itself, or is it just a way to help add the layers? It gets the consistency of the paint that I want. Right now I am doing a sort of creamy purpley layer. Invested in Sis's baby. Can't wait to see her finish. That'll be in December. She won't be finished till December. Yes, I go live all the time. I went live before Sis's doll and I'll go live after. She'll be in 3 to 6 months close. I'm definitely more active on TikTok now because it is my full-time job at the moment, and I'm currently getting paid to do TikTok, so with videos and stuff like that. It's not much unless I can get one of the videos to pop off, but it's a little something. But the main deal is to, you know, I want to increase following, which is, you know, marketing, so that people actually, so I don't end up in a situation like I was literally just last week, where I was, you know, I thought my work spoke for itself, but I didn't have anybody coming in for custom orders because a lot of people didn't know about me. But now a lot of people know about me, so it's been great. That's all I want, is just the work. Alright, so this is like almost a white, chalky baby pink. A little bit of a purple tone. Pink. Cool. Thanks for the gifts. I might actually avoid the nose. Sometimes I do that with certain neutralization layers that are going to tone down the yellow. Just avoiding the top of the nose. Get out of that crease. Oh, I just went over the nose. That's okay, though. It's just sometimes I'll do that. Thanks for the follows, guys. I appreciate it. We also have subscribers now. I don't know what I'm going to do with my subscribers yet, but y'all subscribers, let me know. Maybe we'll only do hair for subscribers. Maybe that's how you see painted and rooted hair. Or maybe for subscribers, that's the only time I do those zoom in lives where I just zoom all the way into what I'm doing. Could be an idea. How long do you have to bake each layer? For 9 minutes at 365 degrees in a new wave oven. Just making sure we don't have any super wet spots. Oh, thanks. I love that you guys like watching me paint. Yeah, I use sponges. What's the most challenging thing in the process? Color correction. I'm very good at it, but I think it can make anybody get impatient for sure as you're trying to like different kits take different paint layers differently. I don't like doing creases. They're not my favorite in the world. Which doesn't mean I don't do them. It just means that that's kind of the layer where I'm like, I want to be done. I love doing eyebrows though, and I love painting hair. And weirdly, I love the flesh tones, but I don't like the color correction that comes later. I don't know why. They're almost exactly the same. But I think it's just, you know, it comes from starting a new baby. It's just exciting. How often will you be doing live? There will be a schedule. I'll try to keep you guys updated. Like I posted a picture today that said 12 p.m. and I've been talking about us going live at 12 p.m. for the past several days. That would be the plan for today. Beyond that, you know, maybe on the weekends we'll plan for earlier lives like this, and on the weekdays we'll do what I typically do, which is what did I do before? I did one day. There was one day where the schedule just worked out really, really well, and I kind of like the idea of that. Normally it's 7 p.m. Is the late one. We get on at 7, and then the Q&A starts at 8:30 to 9, which normally goes a little bit longer. And then maybe there'll be one closer to my lunchtime. The paint is sort of see-through. It's translucent, so it's like, it is, oops, don't like it when I do that. It is depositing, but it's very, very thin. And these paints are designed so that you can layer them on top of each other and make it look like it's, like you could, the veins on Pascal, who's almost done, they look like they're under the skin. It's actually pretty incredible. Right now it is 5:05. I'll be rooting her hair on top of painted hair. So June is probably supposed to be about 5 months, 6 months-ish. So like just when a baby's like sitting up, that's June's age. Oh yeah, that layer got me where I wanted to be. Yes, no discernible color, just kind of a cream that's very, very neutral and light. That is my perfect canvas. And in doing all these layers, there's already so much depth to the skin tone. Like even if a kit came this color, it wouldn't have this much of depth and creaminess. You know what I mean? What to use to paint them? I use a combination of Genesis heat set paints, BC paints, Zodis mediums. They're all specifically Reborn paints from Reborn sites. Oh my god, this is so creamy. I love it. I'm just making sure that all of it is still pouncing, not rubbing or blending, but I'm making sure that everything is uniform. And just so you guys know, this process will be a little bit less of a, I'll try to answer questions, but this process is less of a Q&A and more of like, you guys get to watch Sis's baby be painted, and I'll sort of talk through the layers as I'm doing them. I feel like you're going to learn more about painting than you are about, you know, me or any of that. My goal here is not to answer questions. It's to have you guys involved in me creating Sis's baby. Because everybody loves Sis. Yes, I do bake the doll after every layer. I've been making Reborns for 11 years. I know I look like a baby, but I started when I was a baby. Started when I was a 19-year-old fetus. This is actually 4 layers in, believe it or not. And then they eventually get somewhere around here. What, Ellie? I keep getting like freaked out. My mom's name is Ellie, and I did help her set up a TikTok. So every time I see you on here, Ellie, for a minute, I have like a mini panic. Like, oh, mom. And then I remember my mom probably doesn't know how to find emojis, so that's definitely not my mom. I'm mostly self-taught, yeah. I haven't taken any classes, but I've seen tutorials and stuff. You'll notice we also don't do these neutralization layers inside the mouth. You don't want the mouth to look chalky. Having a little bit of chalkiness on the side of the face here, so I'm just making sure it's blended out. I never really heard of painting the hair and then rooting it, so is there any particular reason you do? It's called a combi. One of my favorite dolls ever had it. It's always something I've offered and always something I wanted to do more of, but not a lot of people order it. I had a conversation with Amanda about how Connor has lost some of the top of his hair, which would have happened to any reborn doll, by the way, with how much Sis loves her babies. Sis loves on her babies a lot. Any doll would have lost hair. And I suggested painted hair with a well-blended rooted top. So it's, hopefully it'll come together very nicely and she'll still have hair to play with. But every time I've done it, it blends very nice. This little crease is being kind of stubborn. That's okay. I have patience. For paints, I use acrylics. How much is it for a kit to do it on your own? So a kit is literally just the head and limbs. I wouldn't recommend, like there are some, but a lot of the times they're like giving you too much extra stuff. You're getting a Lauren Pascal for Christmas? That's so exciting! Typical turnaround time from order to delivery. So the typical turnaround time for me starting and finishing painting / rooting is 2 months if the doll is painted, 1 month if the doll is rooted. But that also depends on where you're falling in line of how many orders I have. If you're the next order, then maybe for you it's only going to be like 3 months. You wait till your month comes up and then 2 months and then it gets sent to you. But for other people, it's going to be 5 months because you're not first in line. So it depends. Yes, you're here, Carly. How long do you think it will take you to paint her? She'll be done by Christmas. Yeah, Reborn Effects Air Dry Varnish, I've heard is good. I don't know about using acrylics. I can't vouch for that. Kits are anywhere from, don't look on Etsy, please. Do not look on Etsy. Always go on an authorized dealer site. Always go on like McPherson Arts and Crafts, Irresistibles. I don't make all these from scratch. I order the kits and I paint them. How many outfits come with the baby? Typically around 4, but an outfit can be anything from like a full outfit. Like I normally give them at least one with like a matching hat and scratch mittens or booties or shoes or whatever is age appropriate for the baby. Like one full outfit, maybe 2 sleepers and 1 Z-pack and like pants pack, something like that, like something kind of like for loosely, but like a versatile for, where one of those outfits might be a onesie pack and a pants pack. All right. Don't answer questions you don't know the answer to. All right, now I'm just confused. That's okay, though. It stresses me out when I think people are getting wrong information. But I will say this, you can always trust Wendy. Thank you, but I do get paid to make these babies, and most of them are not for special needs, which isn't to say that they're not meant to be for special needs. It's just that, like, that's not the main purpose. And that's actually a common misconception and sometimes a stereotype that negatively affects people who are neurotypical and normally functioning, who just like dolls, and that's fine. Might just use the mop brush. I'm so used to the mop brush. I know I can cover more with the other one. I'm just used to the mop brush. Thank you. It's a gift and a curse, this level of talent in this not so tiny body. Took me a long time to figure out what I want to do with my life. I'm super neurospicy and wasn't diagnosed before, so I was just like into a lot of things. Anything besides sports, really. And I won't lie and say things don't come easy to me. Even like reborning and stuff like this comes easy to me. So when people are like, oh, is it hard? I'm like, it's hard for me to say, because I'm blessed with, for every blessing that I have in art, I have a caveat in physicalness. I have a genetically shitty body. I learned just from I'm mostly self-taught, but I learned from various tutorials for sure. I message Nikki Johnston every once in a while. We met at the doll show and we'd been talking a little bit before. I'm trying to be anywhere near as good as her these days. But we kind of vibe, so I talked to her a little bit. And yeah, just looking at real babies and trying to improve my craft. We were nearly crying over fucking milk bumps the other day. I was like, why can't I make them as tiny as I want to make them? But then they turned out great. Will she feel like plastic more than like a real baby? So it's softer than, well, it's hard to say, because this is plastic and I can't move it, but this is also plastic and I can. Plastic comes in lots of forms. I think vinyl is technically a type of plastic, but it's not inflexible. It's not hard. It's just like all her other babies that she loves. Same material. Babies take me about like 80, 90, 40, 100 hours to make. Every baby is different. Everybody keeps calling me an amazing human. I just want to make it clear I don't give away free babies. That wasn't the case here. I know that's not necessarily what you're implying, but I feel like it's important for everybody to know that as much as it has been an amazing pleasure to be let into Sis's world and to learn how to communicate with her, as Amanda sort of coached me to help, give her options and stuff like that. This was for marketing because I was struggling. I also really loved the idea of I love making custom orders, and I love the idea of making a custom order for somebody who otherwise probably wouldn't be able to order a custom for themselves on their own because, Sis doesn't have those faculties. But, Amanda, with the communication that we acquired together and the collaboration that we had, we could help her do it together. Oh, thank you. Okay. How do you tell where you painted the baby? I can't tell just looking at it. I know I covered everything, so as long as I'm not, going like this, I know I didn't fuck up. Except even doing that, which, I wouldn't have done unless I was demonstrating, I can fix it just by pouncing over. That's a great thing about heat set, too. If you fuck up, you can kind of just wash it off and not bake it and try again. My dolls run from $800 to $1,400. I'm pretty competitive with, price-wise, I'm pretty competitive with people who have been doing it as long as I have. I've just taken more health and, living situation hiatuses than most people who have been painting for 11 years, so I'm not quite at the layer of other people who started around the same time as me, like Shaylin Maxwell and Nikki Johnston. But I'm getting there, and I think I'm catching up quick. Coming for you, Nikki! In case you didn't know, Nikki Johnston is probably the sweetest person you will ever meet in the universe. If you don't think so, just literally read through her Instagram comments as people ask oh, how'd you do this? And she gives a very, not only humble thank you, but a detailed explanation of how she does things. She's so willing to help people out. She's an amazing person, and I could not love her more. Yeah, let's maybe even not give the name of the silicone kits in the future. I don't want people seeing that and getting ideas. Do you do any other art mediums? I really enjoy making friendship bracelets. I do some fabric mediums here and there. I like crocheting. I'm a coder, which is also sort of an art in its own. I like the idea of game design. I like logic implementation of game design, which is more the anticipating stupid people and how stupid people are going to try to break the code. If they're going to jump over a fence that's out of bounds in the video game, the game's not going to crash, that kind of stuff. I'm really good at coding that. And there's an element of creativity to that for sure. I also think that's why I was good for this, because I know a lot of the previous artists understandably stressed out about the stupid things that people would say and the stupid things that people would comment. But I'm pretty much ready for everything because my brain is already anticipating that. Thanks, Mama Steph. Where'd you get thinning medium? I've got BC thinning medium, and I think Genesis thinning medium is still in stock some places. I've got a Genesis thinning medium. But there's paint thinner and thinning medium as two different things, just in case you didn't know or you did know. I didn't want to assume, but I have paint thinner, Zotis thinning oil, BC thinning oil, BC thinning medium, Genesis thinning medium, Zotis thinning medium. Yeah, thanks, Mama Steph. I have no other mode because I have Tourette's, so everything I say is right at the start of my brain, and I have to get it out, or else I'll forget it because I also have ADHD. Definitely caused some issues in my upbringing, but I feel like honestly, as an adult, I feel like it's been a strength more than a weakness. When you're an impulsive kid and you're still trying to figure out social graces, it's definitely difficult to have a mindset like that. But I think as an adult, and especially as an adult who goes to regular therapy and consider myself a good communicator, I definitely have to check myself here and there. Like one time my friend, I asked him it was a coworker who, we were talking about college. He was like, oh, I'm studying to be a minister. And I said, ew. And then I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. That was my opinion and my reaction, but I should have said it with more tact. Like, stuff like that will sometimes happen. But overall, honestly, you guys have reassured me of that too. Overall, just everybody being like, oh my gosh, I love your vibe. You're so real. And I'm like, oh, that's because, like, there's literally nothing else. There's literally no other function in this brain. But I'm glad that you all noticed that, because I do try to be a very genuine and authentic person, especially as somebody neurodivergent. The triple crease on the arm would annoy me if I was painting, and I'm glad I don't. The triple crease. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Babies have some weird ass creases, especially babies that are a little lanky like this. Sometimes you don't expect where the thing is going to crease. Are you talking about like the wrist? Yes, I have bought a regular doll from the store and repainted it for fun. I did like it was a Journey Girl doll. I made her to look like Anne of Green Gables. I still have her. That was more like, if you can picture like an American Girl doll, it was like a doll that size that I repainted. She's gorgeous. I redid her whole face. And then I also have I think it's called like La Newborn or something like that. It's a Behringer kit that Walmart carries. I painted that before, and I also have a stripped one to paint in my little kit collection. Are you priming the kit now, or is that paint? It is paint. All my layers, or a lot of my layers, are going to be very thin like this, especially at the start. I don't necessarily, I guess it's not like a priming like here's how the paint sticks. It's a priming like here's the kind of canvas that I want to work with. I like my kits to be very neutral and very light when I start them. So you typically start with kind of orangey vinyl, and then I do a bunch of colors that you would never expect. Like this is sort of like a light magenta. I did a light green, and I did almost like a grayish flesh layer, because I just really want to tone down that orange plasticky look and be able to build up my own skin tone after the mottling layer. How'd you make the milk bumps on Pascal? A little bit of mediums with a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue. I think I used a combination of thinning medium and thick medium, and I used a rooting needle to get them super tiny. And then when I wanted to add baby acne on top of the little milk bumps, I had just added a little bit more white. And then put a couple little baby acne bumps on there. Thank you, Carly. Why do I was wondering why I feel underlit. My overhead light I didn't turn on. I'm gonna do that after I finish this hand. Skin tones definitely are a trick to the eye. Some babies will look lighter even though you put them beside another baby and they're not. But you can utilize cool tones to make a baby look lighter. But I definitely like to get a very light base, because the lighter your base is, the less tint you need when you're adding the coloring and you're adding the detail. And that also allows me to build up my own skin tone that I want to get and not run with what the kit's giving me, because I've already handled the kit's plasticky lookingness. Webster's dictionary definition. Plasticky lookedness. Look it up. You know, it's funny with the paper towel. When I first started, I never ended up doing it, but I always thought it would be a cool idea to like take the paper towel that I used for that doll, take a photo of it, and use it as like a background watermark to each baby's birth certificate. But that is so much work. And I also worked on multiple babies at a time, so it didn't make complete sense. But it was a cool idea. If you ever think of it when you're doing a flesh layer, it's always a good idea to wipe it off the fingernails when you're done applying it. If you don't think of it, as long as everything is blended, it's not too bad. But no, I wouldn't paint reborns with acrylic paints just because the longevity isn't really tried and true tested like reborn paints are. Hi, dog. I gotta turn my light on. Why don't you go night-night in on Grandpa's bed? You want me to tuck you in? Hold on, I need to tuck you in a baby. Come on. No, over here. Baby didn't want to be tucked in. Whenever Teddy's on the bed too, she always looks at me like, "Can you get him off first?" No, I don't have silicone dolls. I make vinyl dolls, which is better. Cheaper, holds more detail, way more durable. Silicones are just jiggly and more likely to be full body. I love how neutral that looks. I'm using a stiff bristle brush to make sure that I don't have any paint pooling in the creases because this is a very chalky layer, which works great when it's like pounced correctly, but you really got to make sure it's blended because nobody wants a weird chalk spot on their doll. Has she done any paint? Yes, I've done 4 layers. Amanda will periodically come in and watch the lives. She'll definitely be getting updates. I'm texting her photos and stuff. I think after every night there will be sort of a video update of me sort of like turning the doll around and showing. But believe it or not, this is 4 layers in. I'm a thorough bitch. So this is the original color. I like a really fair and very neutral start place. I'm doing good, Caitlin. I'll be ready to go home on by Christmas. Yeah, I got every ounce of respect for my fellow women in art, Crystal and Michelle, but just so you know, it like there will be more layers here. I've been doing this for longer, and I'm not by any means saying anybody is better or worse than the other, but this is a master level doll versus intermediate level dolls, so there's just a lot more detail that's expected in this, and I'm very harsh on myself as well. It's gotta take a lot of layers. I'm very well versed in color theory, so the final coloring is very important to me, and I specialize in custom orders. Obviously, it's going to be very customized as well. Yes, it can take a binky. Yeah, she's got a dimple on one side that's kind of subtle. I know, right? Even without eyes. I will say one thing about big babies, even if they take more paint and stuff and take longer times to bake because the whole limbs don't fit in there, it is a lot easier. They have less creases, that's good, and it is a lot easier to see where the creases are pooling and where they're not, so you can get a very clean look. It's easy to miss a crease or two with a newborn. That's like, newborns in general, they put a lot of creases on the feet in particular. I'm pretty good at catching it, but I sure as hell am more likely to miss it on a newborn than a baby this size. How do you prefer to put the eyes in? From inside the neck. There's not really any other way that I could be wrong. Pretty sure with vinyl, maybe if you heated up the kit really good, but it's not the best practice to try to put them in from the front with vinyl. With silicone, you can do that. You can't do it with vinyl. That I know of. I could be wrong. Oh, thank you, Shannon. Yeah, I hope and I hope I'll continue to do that. I was a follower of the last half of the process with Kimmy, and I've been following the Rosemary stuff, and when I had the conversation with Amanda about doing this doll, I was like, I want to do something different. I want to, I want it to be a custom order. I want Sis to know. I'd like for, Sis to choose some stuff if that's something she can do. And I'm going to be on it on the lives, and if I'm not doing lives, I'm going to be posting videos. There will be a way for you to see. attach the baby to the cloth body with zip ties. There's spots for the cloth body where you put the zip ties through. And then a baby happens. Can you, like, be less aggressive? Can I have a paintbrush that's less aggressive? Just making sure the hard to reach areas are blended. Go. There's a clean looking hand. Your toddler loves losing her head. My zombie was like that for a bit. Especially older kits. And kits with, like, toddlers with bigger heads means wider necks, means less support for the neck. Alright, and after this is baked, we can start mottling. So that's good to know. I am working on Sis's baby, yes. We're about four layers in. After this, I should be able to start mottling. But we are going to have to do a hard close off at 6:30 because I have D&D tonight. Mottling is the splotchiness that a baby has. Sometimes it almost looks like little circles. I don't know if you could see it through his hair. It's like splotchiness, basically. Like, not specifically those markings, but just the subtle splotchiness that makes... It's the blood flow, but the blood flow under the skin is more visible on a baby than it is on an adult. I'm going to start reading Pascal soon. I think I've just got a little bit more... I think I just have to stare at him for a little bit longer to decide if I want to do a little bit more mapping, but I think we're mostly there with the mapping that I need. A baby typically takes about 40 to 50, or 40 to 60 really, depending on the skin tone. 40 to 60 hours to paint and another 20 to 30 hours to root. 10 to 12 hours if I'm doing painted hair. 2 to 3 hours if I'm doing pencil painted hair, like 2D. I don't know if it's premature. It is a little premature to ask about weight, but I'm going to have a conversation with Amanda. I've heard from some people that Connor's a little bit lighter, and that's why she enjoys him so much. But that'll be a conversation between me and Amanda, what she prefers, a more realistic weight, or something that's going to be easier for Sis to carry around. It might be up to Sis. I'll have Amanda be in charge of communicating that to Sis, if it is up to Sis. And what else was I gonna say? But yeah, it can be any of those things. The hair for her baby is going to be painted and rooted. So I'm going to paint the whole head, and it's going to look very realistically painted. But then I'm going to add a little bit thicker than what I would call fuzz. I'm going to add rooted hair to the top that will blend into the painted hair. I've done it before, and it looks very nice. But that's a way for, because, you know, we've all looked at Connor's hair, and even the most well-rooted, well-sealed baby would have lost hair on the sides because Connor receives a lot of love from Sis. He is very loved, and he's loved every single day. Any doll would have lost hair on the sides. That's basically our way that, you know, even if she ends up losing hair on the top of her head, she's still got painted hair underneath, so she still looks like she has hair, and that'll be something fun for Sis. And it'll be, more accessible for Sis. Will there be painted hair under the rooted hair? Yes. So it'll be way more than this. It'll be painted, like fully painted, Like, it will look realistic without the rooting on top. Like, that's the kind of painted hair we're going for. But then we're going to add rooting on top so that Sis has something to play with for fun and to make it look like a bit more of an older baby. But that way, even if she gets a lot of love and does lose some hair, it's not going to be super noticeable because she's got painted hair underneath. So the boy, it would be like fresh newborn. Or maybe a preemie who's just finally reached his newborn size. He's getting hair. I have just got a little bit of a map for it. But yeah, he'll be for sale eventually. He's very sweet. He's got these little milk pimples that are absolutely adorable. He's got little pimples on his chin like a lot of babies do. I know, right? Yeah, the fact that Sis wants to take her to school makes me err on the side of maybe like 5-pound baby max, but that'll be a conversation with Amanda. Obviously a newborn will probably, newborns that I make end up being about 5-6 pounds, but it always, like, people pick up my dolls and they're like, oh my gosh, it's weighted like a real baby, almost a little heavier than a real baby. And I'm like, no, actually it's lighter. The difference between dead weight and live weight is actually quite striking. The skeletal system supports a baby's weight even when they're dead asleep. So a weighted doll is always going to weirdly feel heavier than an actual baby. So we don't actually weight them to match, unlike silicone, which is a bit different. But honestly, silicones feel like boulders half the time. But yeah, we don't really weight the dolls realistic weights. It's more realistic feel. Sis's baby will not have a magnet for a pacifier. These kind of mouths make that very difficult, but it can take a cut pacifier, which is even easier. Pascal is a kit that I'm painting just to sell. Not a custom order, just a doll that I wanted to paint for fun. Because Joanna Kazmarchik was at the doll show and she signed my Pascal body for me, so I thought he'd be a cool cash doll where, like, I make him the absolute best I possibly can and see how much he's worth. Thinking in the 1800 to 12 or 1800 to oh, Nikki just said, oh, it's looking really good to my milk bumps about Pascal. Nikki Johnston, name drop. We're friends. She's very talented, but also very sweet. I know, Sis's baby makes me smile too. But yeah, Pascal will be for sale upon completion. My goal was to make him worth 200. No, my goal was to make him worth 2,000 because I've never sold a doll for 2,000. But if I don't make him worth than 2,000, then he's going to be less than that. I'm thinking somewhere, give or take, 1,800 is where he's going to fall. We'll see though. I think I've done a pretty good job. We'll see what happens with the rooting. And it literally won't be like a thing of like, oh, I messed up on this, so I think he's worth less. It'll be more of like I just didn't get there. Like, I just didn't get that 2,000 that I thought I would get, so he's going to be worth 1,800. He's already, like, such perfection. But we'll see once he's actually finished, because I price my dolls very realistically. I do the rooting. My rooting is quite good, if I do say so myself. Alright, so I can bake these. We'll do a little bit more of Pascal. And then maybe I'll hop off just a little bit more early than expected, because I do have D&D tonight, so I'm literally going to be sitting here for another 3 hours in a couple hours. So I'm basically, his hair is going to be very dark, and particularly with dark hair, it's nice to have a little bit of a mapping base. Davini has it as well. Progress on June, we're on the 4th layer. So as you can see, she's like a very creamy neutral complexion now. She was a little of that still like orangey plastic. We started with an earth mint layer, which is like green with some white in there to neutralize a lot of the green. It kind of like tones down the peachiness. Like green doesn't technically neutralize orange or any of that, but it does seem to work at toning down the peachiness. Then we did a flesh layer, which lightens the kit and gives us a nice creamy base. And then I stared at it for like 10 minutes and decided to also do a sort of a very light magenta layer to really tone down any shade of like a yellowy green. Basically, I don't want any of my yellow shades, any of my golden yellow stuff, I don't want any of those to fall into green when I add things like blue undertones and stuff like that. So I did like a creamy pink situation. And now we've got this very neutral kit that's not really leaning to any particular color. It's just sort of like a cream light base that doesn't lean towards yellow or any other color. And that's where I like to start. Yeah. I would say, honestly, that's probably my strongest thing. And it's also straight up, that's my most self-taught of my reborn skills, and I also think it's my strongest, is reborn-based color theory. Because sometimes the color theory that you're like looking at the color wheel, like for instance, Earth Mint doesn't neutralize orange, but I know that it works. Like, I know that it gets me to where I'm trying to go, and maybe I can't exactly like verbalize where I've gotten after doing that Earth Mint layer. All I know is that I like it. I've been working on Pascal for about a month. I started him at the start of last month. She won't be this light. So basically, I like to give myself a really light base for the mottling layers, because it just means, like for instance, you know, you have some kits that are actually, that come to you brown. They don't really do that anymore, making like what they would call ethnic kits that would come to you brown. They don't really do that anymore because it's really hard to get the detail on a dark kit. It's much better to have a light base and then work yourself down and work yourself darker towards the complexion, which is what I like to do for myself. So I've got a very light base that'll allow me to do some mottling that looks like very much under the skin. And then when after the mottling, I start the warming tones to bring the doll's skin tone to a much more realistic color, and the mottling at that point starts looking more and more under the skin. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Agent. Knew you were going to be too dark. Why did I paint that? I knew that was going to be too dark. Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually had somebody Hi, Michelle. Oh my gosh. We love you so much, Michelle. But I also, somebody messaged me after our first live this morning where we hit 1K when we first started. And she was like, look at this, you hit 1K, which I didn't even notice, but she messaged it to me, and that was really sweet. Yes, I do eventually do a seal on the paint. So he's got just like a preliminary seal so that I can work on the hair really nice. But see, he's got to be my cash cow baby. Look at his little pimples on his chin. I love doing eyebrows. I'm excited to do his hair black and dark because I really, really, really love it. I love an aggressive eyebrow. I love a really dark eyebrow. And when you've got the hair to match it, like it looks a little bit intense right now for a baby, but when you've got the hair to match it, my favorite dolls of all time, like all three of them were dark-haired babies that had striking eyebrows, and they just, oh, they looked incredible. All right, I'm going to try to make this my last layer of like just getting this ready because I'm ready to start rooting him eventually. Like today, because I love rooting black hair. Me too. His eyes turned out so sweet. Thanks, Kathy J. Just got some mapping going on. He's going to have rooting on top of this, but I want to make sure we've got a nice mapping and a good base. I really want the hair to swoop off to this side, but also meet at the center. I've actually never done rooting where it meets at the center, but I've always wanted to. It's a little tricky to get sometimes, especially if you're like me, and you know, I try to get it as realistic as possible, and there is so much movement in baby heads. Well, you finish the back of his head. There's more mapping on here than you can see. See what I mean? It's just the camera's not picking it up that much. Basically, I want the most mapping to be that part on top because that's where it's going to be the thickest anyway. And I just honestly got a little... There's also a lot of movement up top and a lot of like, oh, the hair falls short here and then it moves this way here. But yeah, there's mapping all over. It's just hard to see because most of it's with the Prismacolor pencil. I wish I could turn the camera around and y'all could see it better, but for some reason it doesn't let me do that if I'm advertising my own self. I've noticed that like it won't let me flip the camera around as long as I've got that checked. This is a Prismacolor pencil. It's good for mapping, and I sometimes offer cheaper babies with 2D painted hair using a Prismacolor pencil, but that's the thing, you can only really get a 2D effect and not a 3D effect. But yeah, June is drying. June's right there. I knew I'd have to have some other project as well as June, so I'm just finishing. It's a great opportunity to sort of, you know, maybe one of the viewers who came here from June ends up buying Pascal. That would be awesome. But he's still getting worked on at the moment. These are very much cheaper than silicone. They're probably like a third the price of silicone. Or at least a silicone that is this detailed would be 3 times his cost. And he's likely going to be like $1,800 to $2,000. But I haven't done his hair yet. He's getting rooted hair. I really need to just stick him in the oven and have him be done with the hair mapping. I guess the only part I haven't done is this part, but this part is the part where, like, whenever I do too much painting in here, I sort of regret it because it just, the hair moves around so much in that area. I'd rather have the rooting sort of speak for itself, in a sense, in that particular area. My dolls are $800 to $1,400 plus shipping. Another great thing about Prismacolor pencil is I can't do this with paint where I can't set my finger on top of it as I'm working on it because I would smudge it. Not a problem with Prismacolor pencil. It pretty much just goes on there and stays. Though you can wipe it off with like a thinning oil of some kind if you need. Alright, I'm not going to go too far in there. There we go. We've touched it almost everything except that super inner corner, which I kind of like that to flow naturally anyway. Oh, how much is the cheapest doll? My dolls aren't cheap, so. No, nobody ever bought the Budget Baby, though I did send somebody an invoice. There is Pascal. He's looking very cute, even if he doesn't have all of his hair yet. I think that's the mapping that I got done. So everything is covered except that little center. It's just some things are covered more darkly than other things. But this is the hair that moves around a lot. This is the hair that doesn't move around a lot. Basically, I don't paint a lot of mapping unless the hair... I paint the most mapping in the areas where it's going to be thickest and where it's not going to move around a lot. Do you prefer babies with drawn painted hair or physical hair? I love his eyebrows too. I prefer rooted babies personally because I've always loved playing with hair. My whole life I've loved playing with hair. I love doing my own hair. I love doing all my nanny kids' hair, all the kids that I babysat, my sister's hair. What the mapping is to keep it just helps me follow sort of the pattern that I want to follow. It gives me an idea of, like, it's like a sketch before the rooting. So that's that's like the pattern of rooting that I'll do. Will he have a full head of hair or the half like June? He's going to have a full head of hair. I'm going to make his hair thick. He's got such a little head. And honestly, somebody else said, somebody was like, do you think Pascal's head is a little bit too big for his body? And I was like, I don't know because I haven't put it together, but now that's more inspiration for me to root that head thick. I still do mono rooting though, one hair at a time, but I'm going to challenge myself to root it super thick, super close. Here it is, 6 p.m. And thank you. Oh, so is this a rooted doll or not? So this doll will be rooted. This doll will eventually be rooted. I've just done some mapping on his hair so I know what to follow. This doll, when I'm closer to being done, will have painted hair that does not look like that. That is mapping. She's going to have fully painted hair, so it might start out with mapping, but then it's going to look very realistic, very 3D. And it'll be fully painted, and then I'll blend rooting on top. I don't have a website. Pascal, I don't know his price yet. He's probably going to be $1,800, give or take $100 or $200. I don't know how much he's going to be until I'm done rooting him. He needs to be perfect for me to make him $2,000. But that is that has been my goal since I started him, to make a doll worth $2,000. But if he's not worth $2,000, that won't be like a mistake thing. It won't be like, oh, there's a smudge here, he's not worth $2,000. It's just like, he's got to have that wow factor. And if he doesn't, then he'll be more in the 1,800. But he's not for sale yet. My dolls are $800 to $1,400 plus shipping. Every once in a while we'll have a make to sell that's cheaper or a make to sell that's more expensive than that, depending on what I'm trying to do. With this doll, I was trying to show off. With this doll, I was trying to show off. With this doll, I was trying to make a budget brown baby, because a lot of brown and black babies are expensive. So that's why she's $400, and he'll be, you know, over 16,000 for sure, or over 16,000, oh my god, over 1,600 for sure. But even this one, who's 400, is still incredibly realistic, even with her 2D painted hair. She's looking super cute. She needs a mom or a dad. She's very adorable. There's too many lights on in here, and it's making her look more shiny than she is, though she does have a dewy finish, as most of my brown babies do, because brown babies do tend to have, they catch the light a little bit more. His eyebrows were done with, actually completely with BC paints. His eyebrows were. I don't really, sometimes I'll do a little bit of a mapping with the pencil on eyebrows, but most of the time. I've recently discovered that BC paints makes great painting hair stuff. But all this light stuff here, that's all the, like, mapping, that's what the pencils are good for. Yes, it's a 5 out of 0 brush. I don't know what that means, but that's what they're called. I've always loved dolls, and I've always been a poor adult, so I like making my own. June is over here. I started doing this kind of for that reason. I got an Ashton Drake, thought it was a reborn when I first bought it, and then I found out that it was just a realistic doll, that it wasn't a reborn. Here's June. We're 4 layers in, we're about ready for mottling. She's got that super creamy base that I really like to get before I start a doll, because I like to build up my own skin tone. I like to tone down whatever they've given me, get it super creamy, undiscernible color base, and then add my color, because then it makes my color more vibrant and more the colors that I want. You know, if I want things to be crimson, they're going to appear crimson. They're not going to appear crimson on top of orange, you know. So that's why I get a creamy base. But there is Miss June. Now she's going to be without eyes for a little bit as we're painting her, but that's okay. But yeah, we've done 4 layers, or maybe 3. Earth Mint, Flesh, Creamy Magenta. Has it only been 3? I think it's just those 3. 3 layers. But even that, so we got from this color, honestly a little bit more orange than this, to this color in 3 layers, and it's as smooth as shit. Casper, the friendly ghost. She looks so light when I bring her up here. It's a very smooth finish. And you can also see the color change inside of her mouth, which is going to be a little creepy for a bit, but that's okay. I would say I love how you phrased that. I would say it is mostly natural talent for detail. But as far as my process, I think my process is still like 70 to 80% from the Precious Little Baby Dust tutorial that I watched 11 years ago. I learned a lot from that, and since then I think my natural inclination for painting hair and eyebrows was always something that helped me stand out. And also I'm very good at color theory and color correction, so all my dolls end up being a very realistic, incredible color, because I get this very light base that I then build up from. That is just 3 layers, yes. But some people are also like, you know, I show them this, And they're like, oh, so you haven't painted it yet? I'm like, no, we're like 3.5 hours in. And we've just got this. The difference between a realistic baby and a reborn baby is a realistic baby can be manufactured. Like Ashton Drake sells authentic, realistic dolls that are not illegally reproduced or any of that. Anything on Amazon that calls itself a reborn is actually illegal, but it's very hard to prosecute when this stuff gets reproduced in China. So things we're doing as collectors and artists is you gotta shop authentic, because it's very hard for these things to get prosecuted. How much would these cost if you bought from me? $800 to $1,400 plus shipping. And then it takes a couple months. You want to get a cheap one for your daughters, and I'm not the person to come to for that. I'm bougie as shit, and I'm a fancy bitch. To come to for that, I'm bougie as shit, and I'm a fancy bitch. Yes. Yeah, I loved watching sis do that. But yeah, realistic baby and a reborn baby. A reborn is, the main difference is they're done by a singular artist. Or sometimes two, every once in a while you'll have somebody who outsources the rooting or the painted hair. But the main thing is that they're one of a kind, and they're done by an artist. They're not manufactured. So the kits are reproduced, not like, I guess manufactured would be kind of what they are, but they're ethically manufactured. The sculptors, they sculpt the doll and then they get them sent out for manufacturing, which is completely different than when somebody buys this kit, sends it to a Chinese manufacturing company, they reproduce it cheaply and try to resell it without crediting the artist. That's what we're trying to avoid. You make dark babies? Yes. I actually have this one for sale. This one is $400. Yeah. This one is $400. He could be she could be a boy or a girl. I've sort of got her dressed a little neutrally right now. Who's the realistic artist? I mean, there's all kinds of reborn artists. And you can find a lot of intermediate reborn artists who are like kind of a combination of budget and realism. And there are some artists who have been painting as long as I have, like Tiny Tots Reborns, who specialize in budget babies despite the fact that they've been doing it for years. But yeah, Ashton Drake. We'll also do the same for June's legs. Yes, June's legs had a little mishap, but one of them is already looking good, and the other one is not. No, sorry. I spaced out. One of them is already looking good. The other one is not quite there yet, is what I meant to say. There was a little bit of staining on the heels. Here I was thinking, putting my doll down. I put her down on this white sheet last night, and I was like, oh, it's a white sheet. That's perfectly fine. I didn't process that my white sheet is no longer white, and I think that's what happened. Like, it doesn't look stained, but I just didn't process that, this is kind of old. I guess it's maybe got some staining within it that I didn't notice, and the heels got stained. So I've written down, I've already got the pre-mixed stuff that I used on the head and arms. So all I gotta do, I'm probably just gonna do those layers on my own time tomorrow morning or something. Yeah, I know, right? And from a white sheet, nonetheless. Though a finished reborn is not going to have color transfer as easily as a kit. Like, I've had kits that have come with color transfer through shipping if they are, like, touching their COA. You're thinking you want a cuddle baby? I absolutely adore doing cuddle babies. But, you can see the difference. That's the only thing I can think, though, because she was laying down. She happened to have a hat on. But she was laying down on this sheet, and because my brain processed white sheet, I didn't think anything of it. But obviously, this is real white. This is my sheet. But yeah, cuddle babies are awesome. I always get the bodies from Reggie's Bodies, which is phenomenal. Their bodies are so, like, heavy, but in, like, the perfect floppy way. And they're stitched in the perfect place so that they flop very nicely. A cuddle baby is a doll where only the head is painted, but the body is all cloth. Oh my gosh. Shout out to all the dark-haired girlies. Dark-haired, straight-haired girlies. I showered last night. Look at my hair. Y'all feel me on that? It sucks. That's why we always going like this. It's like it looks greasy otherwise. Because my hair is like dark. Oh, anyway. Oh, I love this little sweater. I'm a little warm in it right now, but it's worth it because it's cute. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? I am a sandwich. I know, right? Ugh. When you got dark or black, like black and dark brown hair, when it's really straight in particular, it gets greasy so fast and it's annoying. Even with curly hair, oh, that sucks. Because most of my curly girly friends, they're like, because you know, you kind of have to moisturize the ends of your hair. In the early 2000s, for my daughter, a doll in the mail for $140, it was supposed to be realistic. No, I've got some really good products that I've switched to over the years, which are, you know, great for my hair. My hair's never been healthier because I can actually afford non-cheap stuff. I made the mistake of doing cheap shampoo and conditioner when I couldn't afford anything else, and yeah, my hair gets greasy no matter what after a day. But sometimes doing like a vinegar wash, like a little bit of a diluted vinegar wash, is also nice. It like treats your scalp a little bit. Yeah, none of my products are new. Anyway, so I think we're at where we're going to be at for tonight for June. 3 layers in, at least on the head and arms. Very cute. Yeah, baking soda and vinegar is another thing that's supposed to be super healthy for your hair. Though it's weird because it doesn't lather. But like, I've got a bunch of little spray bottles. I can easily make a vinegar spray. My next live for June, I'm going to aim for tomorrow at noon again. Actually, maybe let's do 1. We're going to do tomorrow at 1, so that means 1 to 2:30 we're going to be painting. 2:30 to 3 will be the Q&A. And then we'll probably do, there might be some stuff in there periodically. I imagine I'll be painting most of the day while it's the weekend, and then I think we're going to have a slightly different schedule on the weekdays, even though I am working from home at the moment. But for now, let's count on 1, because noon was a little, I was kind of rushing yesterday morning. At least if I have to run errands in the morning, I'll have a bit of time for that. So 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll do a little update on where we are on June's coloring in a video as well. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you will be joining me tomorrow. And I'm hoping, I think off camera, I'll probably finish up Pascal. He just needs some facial detail stuff. Maybe we'll make it a video. Alright, thanks for the roses, guys. Of course. Love sharing this. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. Bye.